Hey folks, come on down to NASCAR Motors, home of the buy here, drive here. If you got financing, we got a NASCAR ride waiting for you. Credit means nothing here. As long as you have money, we have a car waiting for you. Mom and dad's money, no problem. Corporate funding, we'll bring it on. Lucky lottery ticket, well hells yeah, we got a seat for you. So come on down and check out our inventory. We're located behind the high banks next to the paperclip. We'll see you soon, cuz we're dealing.
Any side effects to the real likeliness of a car dealership was intended.
Where the hell's my beer at?
3, 2, 1.
What's up, everyone? Todd Brown, That Racing Show. Thanks for dropping by for this pit stop segment. Buying the ride. Ooh, that's the name of the game in NASCAR these days, right? Gotta have the money to make it happen. And I am so glad I finally got to use that intro. I actually did that back in 2018 when I first decided the idea of doing this show, but then never went through with it. So it's kind of cool to get to do it now and put that old piece out there. But anyways, yeah, come buy a car from me at NASCAR Motors. No, but no seriousness here, though. Buying a ride, yes, this is something that it's the reality of NASCAR these days. You got to have the funding to go out there and run. And for most people, they have the funding, which is what gets them the rides that they're in. And I'd already had this idea of doing this show today planned out. And interestingly enough, there's an announcement today. Hailie Deegan getting in the Xfinity car for AM Racing. Change of number, going to the 15 with her next year. And she's bringing on her sponsorships with her. And, man, this is the name of the game. If you got money, you got to ride. Of course, you got to have talent with it. Everything's got to go along with it. But, man, yeah, if you got money, you can get in a race car. It's just as simple as that. Whether it's a short track or anything, it's just the money speaks. So it's kind of different than from the way it was back in the old days. And I say, for me, the old days, I'm talking the 70s and 80s, stuff like that. You had a lot of drivers who, they just proved themselves on the racetrack, and that got them up to the series where they they trudged along to get there. And it's not the same these days, but I'm gonna skip by all this right now. And I just want to get to the point, the core of this whole situation right here, because what we're looking at here is AM Racing, who has Brett Moffitt in the car right now, in the Xfinity Series in the 25 car. I want to look at the past. I want to look at the past results in the Truck Series. I want to do a comparison here to see where everything lines up. So if we go to Brett Moffitt in the Truck Series, Brett, he had 93 races that he ran. He has 13 wins, 54 top 10s, a championship, 3 poles, and that was in 93 races. So, pretty good stats for that series and everything else, especially considering all the drivers that have ran trucks for a long time and never win a championship. But, of course, in the Xfinity, hasn't really had the best of year in the 25 car this year. Not probably putting up the stats that the team wants. So obviously we're looking for options, but we're going to get back to that here in a moment. But then we got Hailie Deegan here. And first off, I want to say this isn't a thing of picking on or cracking on Hailie Deegan. And I'm gonna go into that a little bit more here in just a moment. But Hailie has 67 races in the Truck Series and has 5 top 10s. So we got somebody who has 67 races compared to 97 races, has 5 top 10s compared to 54 top 10s, and then Brett also, with 13 wins and a championship and 3 poles. Also, I should add in there too, Brett has a top 10 in the Cup Series where he just runs sporadically here and there. But so you got to look at it. The comparison is what's putting Hailie into this car. Is it the talent? Is it the money? Is it a combination of both? But this is the way NASCAR works, and it's unfortunate in so many ways, but it ain't gonna get any better. So this is what the future will be. Now, to go back to Hailie again, I'm not cracking on Hailie because I think Hailie's an amazing person. And why I say this is because I think she has the abilities to do some really great things in NASCAR. I think she's gonna be way more comfortable in the Xfinity Series. And when it comes to somebody being a role model for women in racing, I think she presents herself really well, and is a role model to a lot of young women coming up through. And a lot of people compare the girls, the ladies, the women that are driving in NASCAR now. So many people compare everything to Danica Patrick in so many ways. And when it comes to Hailie, I will say this much. At Millbridge Speedway, where I venture out to a lot, when Stenhouse and Danica were together, Stenhouse would be out there racing in midgets at Millbridge, and Danica would be walking around and everything else. But Hailie's out there racing in the midgets. She's just not out there walking around. She's out there racing. And she gets behind the wheel of everything that there is out there to race. So a lot of difference there. And like I say, I really do think she's going to have a good future. I mean, I think she is a talent that's kind of yet to be untapped in some ways, I guess is the best way to say it. Maybe not the best way to say it, but I do think there's a good future for her. And as far as Brett, they still want Brett back to A&M Racing for next year. Problem is, doesn't have the sponsorship money. And so I've come up with an idea here that I'm gonna do a campaign for Brett, and we're going to get him some of the sponsorship money coming in. And this is going to be the starting of it right here. As you can see, we got a new look for Brett, and I think this will bring out the people and make some things happen for him. And yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't right of me. But anyways, got to have fun with racing, and hope everybody else does too. No threats with that, please. No threats with that. Don't need that. But as I say, this is the way it works. And another big factor into this is as you look at what happened with Junior Motorsports here, over the last several weeks here, there was talk of Jeffrey Earnhardt getting into the 8 car with Junior Motorsports. Didn't happen. Sammy Smith gets into the car. The whole thing with that, it revolved around money. Junior needed money to put Jeffrey in that car, and then here comes Sammy Smith, who's got the money and gets into that ride. And when you go back to look at the sponsors that Sammy has, they're the same sponsors that Michael Annett had when Michael Annett drove for Junior in the 1 car. And, you got to look at it that Michael Annett's dad owned TMC Transportation, who sponsored that car. And again, it's one of those things. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about these guys that are driving, but money kept them into the car more than their winning ability. And that's facts. Facts are facts. That's just the way it is. I mean, all the races that Michael Annett ran, it was 320 some races, and he had 1 win, and that's just facts. Like I say, not cracking on anybody. And for anybody who says, well, hey, how many races have you won in there? None. I didn't get the opportunity to get that far. And, oh, man, I wish I would have. But anyways, just the way it goes. But again, Sammy Smith comes in. He brings the sponsorship in because his dad has ties with TMC Transportation, with Michael Annett's father, Harold, who unfortunately is not with us anymore. And but, like I say, it's not to take away from anybody. It's just the fact. Money determines everything to get you into a ride, and everybody knows that. So interesting. But anyways, I'm gonna skip over to this other little deal right here because I was looking at some things earlier today about Iowa, because I'm more curious of how Iowa got onto the schedule this year. And one of the things that really popped up into my mind was, is Iowa just a placeholder? Is it a seat filler for another track that's going to come in eventually in the future here? Because Ben Kennedy's been really, really adamant about, he wants to make NASCAR international. He wants to be in Montreal. He wants to be in Mexico with the series. Of course, this year or next year, we have the Mexican NASCAR series coming to run at the LA Coliseum with the Busch Clash. Just so many things that I see happening right here. And it comes down to the simple fact, what races are going to be removed to put some of these other races on the schedule? And it's really interesting that Gateway comes back, and now we got Iowa coming back. And it's just questioning to me, are these tracks just purely seat fillers for the time being until they get to where they want to go? Because it's not like NASCAR has added on a bunch of tracks in the past. So a lot of questions here that I have about all this. And I guess time's the only thing that's going to tell what actually happens with all this. But interesting thing to think about. Now, as always, love your comments. So I want you to place your comments down here about everything. And just let me know how you feel about this. Do you believe in the whole theory that money deserves or gets the rides, or that drivers who prove themselves coming up through deserve these rides? Or am I just completely wrong? hey, you can tell it to me. I love the feedback. And also on Iowa. You think this is a track that's actually going to be on the NASCAR circuit for a long time? Or is this simply just a reserve sign until the next track comes along to join the schedule? Anyways, love all your conversations out there. Thank you, everybody who subscribed to the channel, and especially everybody that's doing all the comments. I love it. And I hope everybody out there is having a great week. And as always, we'll see you at the checkered flag.